Hey everyone, welcome to week 2 of our 10/10s challenge. We're going to be focusing on mindfulness and urges and cravings this week. And we're going to talk about Dr. Anderson's Stop Challenge Choose. And a lot of people, try to get healthier and treat it like a diet. And it's like they feel like perhaps they're always failing or that they're falling off the bandwagon. Have you guys used phrases like that or like thinking things like that within your journey? So if we have a new way of thinking, we can move into an abundance mode. And that puts us in the driver's seat. And it's all about this self-awareness journey. So if you struggled with the cravings or emotional eating, trust me, I've been there. When we learn these techniques that I'm going to share, that it can be a big game changer. And I'm going to share a little bit about my journey with sugar. Grab paper and pen in case there's anything that's helpful to you to write down in mindfulness. So we all know those moments, right, where we're overwhelmed, feeling really sad or stressed. And it's easy to grab a sweet treat or, even just like the visual reminder of it, like a cue. A lot of women, working on their health goals, we fall back into traditions that don't serve us anymore. Whether it's eating candy that's at a Halloween event or grabbing something sugary because it's comfort food. But the truth is, emotional eating and cravings can derail us, all that hard work and progress. And so most of the time it's not even about food, it's about emotions that are forming over years and then also, unconsciousness. So my story is that I grew up loving sugar. I had like a ton of cavities growing up. Like, I don't know, like I loved sugar, and I actually became a really good baker because of it as well. In my college days, I remember eating really healthy because I was trying to be healthy, but I didn't really know what that was for me. Throughout the week, and then on the weekend I would have a cheat day. I would go all out. I would have Ben and Jerry's. I'd have sugar like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was just a little bit overboard for sure, and it was, really taxing to me actually in the physical and mental area. It was pretty brutal, and I didn't really have awareness around how something could be different. I didn't know there was a new paradigm that I could participate in, and so it was really my relationship with food. And years later, thanks to my coach, who is my sister, I found Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health transformational system and learned how to process my emotions rather than to use food to cope. And so I started practicing mindfulness and asking myself, do I really need this? What emotion am I actually feeding or feeling? An example, I realized that I hadn't have a crumble cookie in over a year. And I really liked sugar. Like, that's been my story. Like, that's my thing. But I'm shifting that. Like, it's not always the case. It's really not. And so I recognized, I watched a reel that was talking about what was in the crumble cookie, like the ingredients list, that it's like not real frosting and like all these things. And then I was also noticing how many grams of sugar were in it. And it was just like evidence that I don't need that in my life. And you can take more self-awareness in certain areas to be able to give yourself power. And a lot of times it's like a relationship that you have that's meaningful to you and a memory. And then you continue to do it year after year. And then it becomes a habit and a tradition, right? So in the Life book, Dr. Anderson talks about teaching us that we can become a dominant force in our lives in element 4. Most people have the natural tendency to look outside themselves to explain what's happening. And why is life happening to me instead of for me? And who's in charge of our life? Like, do we need to be right? Like, how many things do we need to be right about? Needing to not look bad from other people. Needing for social approval. So fear that we don't have enough. And a lot of people are sleepwalking through their days. And did you guys know that 35,000 decisions are made every day? And by reducing decision fatigue, we can lower our stress and our self-awareness and take that personal responsibility for the choices that we do make, because we are making choices. And how are we participating? Focus on our desired outcome rather than reacting to how life is happening to us. Use curiosity as a tool to shift that mindset. You guys, it's key. And if you have the Life book, read Element 4. It's incredible. And it talks all about this. And also you can order it used off Amazon. So there's a pro tip. So how can we do this? We're going to use Stop Challenge Choose by Dr. Anderson. So when we have a craving and it hits, don't reach for that snack automatically. I want you to ask yourself some questions. Am I hungry? Would I eat something healthy? Am I thirsty? Am I blasted? And this refers to like an acronym, and there's a printing page that you can print out that says, am I bored, lonely, tired, angry, stressed, excited, depressed? Like, Where are these emotions coming from? And feel that emotion and be curious and open. And will XYZ fix my problem? Will chocolate make my stress go away? Am I cheap or easy? Because if it's a food option, they should not correlate, right? So true that all of these things can make a difference in our self-awareness. And so I want you to move into the next part. Stop, challenge, and that's where we ask ourselves, are we hungry or are we emotional? And recognizing that the blasted, which I just mentioned. And it can take 90 seconds to process an emotion if you're not ruminating over it and once you recognize it. So take the time to actually be grateful for the gift of emotion that God has given to you and feel the emotion instead of pushing it away or distracting yourself with pleasure. Viktor Frankl said, without a deep sense of meaning, we distract ourselves with pleasure. So choose. That's the last one. Make a choice that aligns with your long-term goals and what you want most in this moment for what you want in your future. So here's some ways to practice mindfulness today. Recognize emotional triggers. So use the blasted method and ask yourself if you're really hungry or if this is trying to fix an emotion. Maybe even print that out and put it on your fridge. Number 2, be honest with yourself and take personal responsibility. Will that chocolate really solve your stress? No. But taking a friend for a walk or finding a healthier way, or maybe you need a hug. So the third is to practice gratitude. Shift that focus from food to people or the memories that you associate with it. And I hope that this has been helpful. We are going to dive deeper and talk about cue, habit, and reward and how to really make some momentum in those areas, because I've got some great tools for you on October 23rd. So stay in tune for that day, and I challenge you to use Stop Challenge Choose in your everyday life, and that you can learn one step at a time to create more personal responsibility over your emotions and to enjoy your life and become the dominant force. Thanks.